Iceman is undoubtedly one of the coolest X-Men and mutants around in the comics, pun intended. But while many think that he is just a man who can make ice appear, there is so much more to him and his abilities. When Bobby started out, he didn't have a lot of control over his powers, but he's had since the 1960s to harness them and is now one of the most powerful mutants in the comics, even being classified as Omega level, and earning it, to be honest, trust me. Today we'll look at just some of the reasons why Bobby Drake is so powerful, as we count down the top 10 superpowers you didn't know Iceman had. And if you enjoy this list and are an Iceman fan, be sure to show him some respect by giving this list a thumbs up, and by letting us know if you want a part 2 to this list in the comments. Be sure to stick around till the end of this list, where I will also have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Ice Form. We all know that Bobby can control ice and has a cold resistance, meaning he can use ice to slide around on, his famous ice slide ability, and he can also encase himself in ice, and others, usually to their dismay. I can barely hold on to a big bag of freezer ice for 30 seconds, so I can imagine that being in Bobby's icy grasp is quite unpleasant without, cold resistance, which obviously I don't have. But beyond this, he can actually transform himself into ice, actually altering his body, like Emma Frost when she turns into her diamond form. So if you thought he was just about creating ice, you were mistaken. He can actually become ice too. This hasn't always been the case for Bobby though, although some people think it has. Actually, when he was first introduced in Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, Issue 1, he looked more like someone who should have the codename Snowman as opposed to Iceman. He basically just looked like a snowman in boots, and attacked Magneto with snowballs. Although I'm assuming those snowballs were at least slightly deadly. Probably had surprise ice chunks in them. Ouch. The reason why we couldn't have snowball fights on the playground when I was a kid. Number 9. Cold Breath. Beyond just making ice constructs and becoming ice, many know that Bobby can also control the temperature of his body, dropping it down to 0 and still being completely fine. Although he isn't always cold in the comics, in the X-Men films, Bobby was portrayed as often exuding an air of cool, meaning that even the air he exhales is cold. He has used his frost breath powers before in battle, but one of my favorite scenes involving this power in the films is when he uses his cold breath to chill Logan's warm soda instantly, proving that Bobby is probably one of the best X-Men to bring to a beach party. You would never have to worry about warm beers on the beach, or any warm drinks for that matter. You just keep everything chill for you. And bring in all the beach babes with his ice structures. Number 8. Extreme Heat Resistance. While we've seen Iceman succumb to heat before, the truth is he's actually pretty good at fighting back against it. If you don't believe me, just check out Amazing X-Men Volume 2. In this series we saw him freeze hell over. Or well, at least one of the hells. Granted, he does pass out after, and the ice he encases everything in does start to melt. But still, an impressive feat for sure. Hell is really hot. Or at least, I assume it is. I haven't personally been there. But if it's as hot as I assume, it truly shows Bobby's level of heat resistance and endurance that he can even use his powers there at all. Never mind freezing everything with it. Whew. No wonder he passed out. Number 7. Insta-kill. Bobby Drake isn't just any mutant. Not only is he one of the earliest members of the X-Men, but he's also classified as an Omega level mutant. A good example of just how powerful he is the fact that he could basically just insta-kill anyone he wanted. How? By freezing the water molecules inside their body, essentially killing them from the inside, at least killing any creature that is water or likely liquid within it. If he can freeze something within you, you might die. While Bobby of Earth 616 tends to hold off on using this ability because, he's overall a pretty good guy, his alternate version from the Age of Apocalypse timeline was much more ruthless. As part of Magneto's X-Men team, we see him use his abilities to straight up kill Apocalypse's soldiers. He has also used this ability to freeze his father's heart following an argument with his dad. His father survived, but suffered a pretty severe heart attack as a result, so. He also has killed people with it, I believe, in Earth 616. But shh, because he's a good guy, so we don't want to make that too well known maybe. Number 6. Liquid form. At this point, to be honest, Bobby has even transcended the name of Iceman, proven by the fact that he can transcend states. He once swapped bodies with Emma Frost, who ended up being surprisingly good at using and controlling Iceman's powers. Beyond even Iceman himself, she was better than him. While in his body, she was able to transform into and move through water. Once they swapped back, Emma helped Bobby gain the same control that she had exhibited while in his body, allowing him to use his powers in this way, shifting from his ice form to a water form, now capable of both. I think he can also turn other people into water. Don't quote me on that one, but I think that's a thing that happened. Number 5. Thermal vision. With his powers being originally based in being able to shift to control his temperature, it turns out that this can also affect Bobby's vision. A little weird, really. Real-life people who train to have extreme control over their core temperatures have never seemed to express any kind of change to their vision in regards to seeing heat signatures. But hey, comics. While in his ice form, Bobby can actually see the heat signatures around him. Becoming cold gives him a sensitivity to heat and thereby grants him thermal vision. Really useful for finding standard enemies who might be hiding. Number 4. Regeneration. Bobby has so much control over his powers at this point that he can actually regrow his limbs. Usually this is done while in his ice form, of course, as reforming ice is easier for Bobby than reforming flesh, which his powers aren't really built for. Still, this has left many contemplating if he is nigh immortal while in his ice form. His understanding of the states of ice to water and vapor, which he can also control on an atomic level, allows him to recreate parts of himself. This extends beyond even just regrowing a limb. We've seen him pretty much be obliterated and still be able to reform. Pretty impressive. Number 3. Ninja Assassin. There are 2 things that X-Men members tend to have in spades, and that is telepathic resistance and or martial arts skills. While you wouldn't expect Bobby Drake, who went to post-secondary for accounting, to be as practiced as some of his teammates when it comes to fighting, it turns out that he is. Though only in the mangaverse, of course. Bobby's mangaverse alternate is actually a trained ninja assassin who works for the Hellfire Club and gets to show off his skills when sent out on a mission to recruit Jean Grey. Obviously it doesn't go very well. She goes all Phoenix on him, but still, good attempt, good attempt. Number 2. Ice Golems. That's right, Iceman is so skilled now that he can even create beings out of ice, not just structures. At first he was only able to make little ice buddies, which he then controlled, but he's progressed to a point that he can now make armies of full-size golems who are actually sentient. So sentient in fact that they have even rebelled against Bobby. One such golem developed his own opinions on who to fight for and ended up abandoning Iceman's side. Which is, kind of fair. Bobby usually creates the ice golems to use in battle, which means, he's kind of sending them to their death. So I feel like I would rebel that too. I'd be like, I don't know if I want to fight for you, wait a minute, hold up. Number 1. Can freeze light? During a fight with Juggernaut in Iceman Volume 3, Issue 5, we see Bobby unlock a power that seems just impossible. He's able to freeze light and actually uses it to hit Juggernaut hard with a blast of energy. It's kind of hard to understand from the comic itself just exactly what is going on or how exactly it works, but it appears that Bobby is actually using his powers to affect the thermal energy of light in a way we've never seen before, and in a way that really just shows off the level of control that he now has. The physics behind this power is questionable, but regardless, it's still super cool. Thanks for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you enjoyed this list. What are some of your favorite Iceman powers? Who is your favorite original X-Men member? Which do you prefer, hot or cold? Let me know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Newest Mutants. Kingdom Come Superman comments, X-Men and the mutants are the best part of Marvel. I'm also a pretty big Spider-Man fan, but mutants are definitely one of the best things. I agree. Not even just in Marvel, just in life. I really love me some mutants. Zach says, yes, Amandy, gosh, you're really stunning. I love and support you. You're too kind. I feel very fortunate to have your support and to be making content for all of you amazing nerds out there. Thank you so much for watching. Also, I'm not usually prone to nicknames, but I kind of like the sound of Amandy. It's cute. And that's all the time we have for comments today. For a chance to have your thoughts and feels featured in a future video, be sure to comment below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you, as always, to stay nerdy, YouTube. If you can freeze the speed of light, that's like, I don't even know. It's like there's a whole other level. I think that's beyond Omega, really. Pew pew. Kids weren't allowed to do anything. Still aren't allowed to do anything, probably allowed to do less. This is... Excuse me as I die. Zach says, yes, Amandy, God, you...